Hi everyone, it's Kate from The Fold Line. I'm back this week with Sewing Bee Intel. Ooh, it was a very difficult week for us, I will not lie. I don't think we've done wonderfully. It was really tricky this week. So I need your help. There are a couple that I couldn't find and I'd love to hear your thoughts. But I'm going to get started. So the theme this week was West Africa. 3 challenges as usual. The first one, the technical challenge, was where they made a Ghanaian smock called a batakari, which I thought was really interesting, the construction of it. So they were given fabric that is woven into quite narrow strips, and that's due to the size of the loom that they have to weave the fabric on. And they sew the strips together to make the fabric, and they add in these days to kind of add some volume to the bottom of them. I thought it was really interesting because you're working in a completely different way, and most of the contestants, including myself, had never heard of this item of clothing before, so everyone was really following the instructions quite carefully. They all did really well, I thought, because it was a really difficult challenge. In terms of if you'd ever like to make one, because I think it's a really interesting way of construction, it's almost like quilting in the way that you're taking small bits of fabric, sewing it together to make it into one. There is a folkwear pattern. It's called Folkwear 148, and it's called the Ghanaian smock, and it's very similar to that, except I think the difference here is that the strips that you use are wider depending on the size that you need. So if you wanted to have a go at making one of these, there is a pattern available, so you can. Next challenge was, I really like this one. They were given a length of fabric, all given the same sort of size bit of fabric, and then they had to drape it on the stand, which I love doing, and I thought it was really creative and interesting, and the prints of the fabrics, I think it all worked really well. So that was the second challenge, which was really great. Then last challenge, so they had to make an item called a bubu, which is West African occasion wear, and this needed to be kind of very loose fitting, obviously to keep everyone cool. Most of the people were using kaftan sewing patterns, having kind of done a deep dive into quite a lot of them. There are a few people who self-drafted, I think, as well. So I'm going to get going, and I need your help on one of the patterns particularly. So Tony W and Vicky, I am 100% sure that they used this Vogue pattern. It's the V1886. The reason that I'm pretty sure is because it had these seams running down it. The beautiful, when they held out their arms, it had that beautiful sort of curved shape. So I'm pretty sure both of them used that. Vicky's one was a bit shorter, and I wonder whether she just cut it off. But I definitely, particularly Tony, I'm pretty sure this was the one he used. So those are the first two. Tony R, I found this really difficult. It was slightly off the shoulder, wasn't as loose fitting as they were hoping. Sleeves, it felt like a sort of beach cover up. I thought this was going to be easy to find, but actually it was really, really difficult. So if anyone knows that sort of what off the shoulder tunic-y kind of long dress, please let me know, because it's been driving me absolutely mad. So next up we had Mia. She made this beautiful off the shoulder floor length dress with gathers. It had these kind of little sleeves which were attached, kind of puff sleeves. I started looking, and Rachel and I were talking about it, and we think that she might have used this pattern. I don't think this is 100% right. The Butterick 6451. The reason that I think she used this, and I know that this is actually a jersey pattern, but it's got that kind of off the shoulder and the sleeve detail and the ruffle and the tiers of gathering. I could be wrong, I would love to know. And then she left out the didn't put the waistband in either, so that it was like big. Actually, there is a version without the waistband. Yes, I think so. Version C, I think, is the closest that we could find, and it was an absolute, it was really difficult, this one. So I think that's right. Love to hear your thoughts, let me know. Next up we had Maria, and hers was this like beautiful V-neck caftan. It had a belt, which was the kind of core detail that we started looking for. There's a really amazing Simplicity vintage caftan, so it's the 8505. I thought this one was pretty close actually. It's got that kind of floaty sleeve. This one was like a waistband, but it could be right. It's hard to know without kind of seeing obviously the garment yourself. So that one we thought was quite good. Then Matthew and Lizzie, I think well, Matthew's was men's item, and I'm pretty sure his was self-drafted. Lizzie's, although quite simple, I also thought was self-drafted. V-neck, or she used like altered a pattern that she already had. It's all quite tricky. Lauren, we think we've got, so Lauren's was quite a simple V-neck, seam down front, little sleeves. We were thinking it might be the Simplicity 8657, which is one of their pattern hacking patterns, which the idea is that you get it and you can hack it in loads of different ways. But we were thinking that one could have been the one that she used, because it was actually quite a simple sort of construction, and it kind of feels quite similar. So next up was Fauve, and I was really pleased with this, I'm not going to lie. This is probably the one I was most excited about. I loved it. I thought it was so dramatic, and I didn't think we were going to be able to find it. So beautiful, big, enormous caftan, high-necked, had a belt that kind of went underneath the bust. I found it. It's a vintage pattern. They do have them on Etsy. So it's the 5900, and I'm nearly 100% sure this one is right. I'm pretty sure it's right. So yeah, I was really chuffed with that, because the high neck was the thing that I was like, we're never going to find that. So I'm pretty sure that one was bang on. And then last but not least, we've got Asma, and she was really difficult. This was another really difficult one. Rachel found a vintage pattern, which we think could have been it. But again, any thoughts and suggestions on any of these patterns, let us know. The 8551 from Vogue, a really old 1970s one. The key that Asma's had was it wrapped at the front, and then it had 3 little buttons. And I think this option has that available. So yeah, and actually you can buy this. It's available again on Etsy. So if you loved it, you could get it. And that is it. Tough week for us. Hope you enjoyed it and found something, you know, if you want to make a caftan, there's some really good options in there. And please do let me know if you've got any suggestions, because honestly, we were a bit fox last night. Yes, so we'll be back next week with another video, and have a lovely, lovely week. Bye.